if I may. I want to talk about a leak, a rumor, whatever. It's more of a rumor than a leak. For a new entry in a very old franchise. We haven't had a new Virtua Fighter since the mid-2000s. I think like 2008? Maybe even earlier, like 2006? The last Virtua Fighter we got was Virtua Fighter 5, and then we got the Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, and then Ultimate Showdown back in 2021 with the PS4 Plus. And it was only on PlayStation, right? You could get it on PlayStation Plus, or you could buy it on PlayStation for like $30 or $40, but you couldn't get it anywhere else. Not Steam, not Xbox, not Switch, nothing, right? And it kind of did really well, right? Maybe because of the fact that it was a PlayStation Plus exclusive, and so everyone got to pick it up and try it, at least for a few months, or at least for the month. Like if you got it that first month, it was big. But it did really well. It did extremely well, especially for a game that was as old as it was, and as dated as it was, air quotes, with no new major, like, features. Right? The only thing it really had was a new form of netcode called Absorb-based netcode, which wasn't the greatest, but wasn't the worst either, right? Felt better than a lot of games, at the time, but now is probably pretty dated in comparison to the rollback standard. A very credible leaker, a very credible rumor spreader, as it were, a Reddit account, mentioned, this was earlier in the month. I try not to talk about, like, rumors and, like, leaks, but I'm really excited and hoping that all of this comes to fruition, and I want to talk about my wants and my thoughts about it. But first, let's start with the post. He says, they say, Virtua Fighter. It is online and esports focused and has online and offline modes, including customization modes. There are new characters with a modern art style and creator artist. It is a game concept that has changed many times since 2021 up to now, right? So it's probably at least been in the works since 2021. They were like, oh shit, this Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown shit did pretty good. Let's make a new one. Streaming and spectating implementation is an important part of the title and a super game concept. So that's part of like the Sega Super Games initiative, which is cool. Yo, what up, Dom? How you doing, bro? It is a reboot of the Virtua Fighter series in development by current Virtua Fighter staff, which is good, right? So, that means people who care about the franchise, actively want to see it succeed in a modern era, are going to be working on it. It is a title releasing on all major platforms with crossplay and rollback. Thank fucking Jesus, hallelujah! I really want to play it on Steam. I don't want to buy a PS5. Don't make me do it. I'd probably buy a PS5 for Virtua Fighter, but please don't make me buy a PS5 for Virtua Fighter. I'd cry. I only have like 2 native PS5 arcade. Oh, yeah, 2 native PS5 arcade sticks. One doesn't have a working touchpad. One doesn't have a touchpad at all because it's a Fighting Stick Mini. My Virtrix is not native PS5. It's the PS4 version. Anyways. There is a Virtua Fighter title that is being developed to be a modern competitor to Street Fighter. This is a Virtua Fighter. It's crazy that I never played Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter, not Virtual Fighter. It's pretty cool. It's older. If you have a PlayStation 4, you can go download it off the PlayStation Store for like $30 and try Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. It's pretty fun. It is a modern competitor. It is developed to be a modern competitor, esports-wise, to Street Fighter and Tekken with esports concepts and mechanics that are similar to the current Street Fighter and other fighting games. It is a concept that has evolved a lot. There is a new story, a new main story, and side stories with brand new characters. Nice. There is also an evolution of ranked matches that are similar to modern fighting games. It is a title that is focusing on scaling with the player and their playstyles when they play online. Daishi is involved with the creation of this project. RGG, a studio, assisted with development. The main concept is Battle Universe. It is an open space where you can spectate fights. Oh, I didn't realize this is Virtua Fighter? Yes, this tune is also from Virtua Fighter. Maybe we'll watch a little bit of a Evo Top 4 or something. Evo Top 6 before we get into other talk segments. Development began in 2021, but early ideas of this title go all the way back to almost 10 years ago, so 2014. That's really cool. It is a reboot title with the goal of making Virtua Fighter a popular series worldwide, but it's also Virtua Fighter 6. This is the sequel to Virtua Fighter 5. The development team has carefully improved and implemented new fighting techniques inspired by other games. Okay, that was a lot to unpack. So essentially, yeah, my fighting edge is over here. Essentially, we have a modern reboot / brand new entry in the franchise. Kind of like Soul Calibur 6, right? Soul Calibur 6 was a reboot, but also was modern in a sense where it was a new entry in the franchise while being a reboot to the storyline. Not an inherent direct sequel to 5, more of a sequel to 4 in an alternate timeline or something, right? When you really think about it. But so this is that same spin on a 3D fighter, which is good, right? I think Soul Calibur 6 did pretty well for itself. It could have done better, but it did well for itself, especially in comparison to the previous entry, which is Soul Calibur 5. Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown already did really well for itself, so seeing a new entry with crossplay and rollback could do big things for this series. I played it a lot when it first came out on PlayStation 4 when the Ultimate Showdown patch or Ultimate Showdown version dropped, and I was a big fan. I literally bought a PlayStation 4 to play Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. That is how much I was invested in trying to get good at a Virtua Fighter game and like really, really dive deep into the online play in a franchise that I didn't really play too much when I was younger as a kid outside of the arcades, right? I didn't play it on console. I only ever played it in the arcades. And I have a few things that I really like about Virtua Fighter, and I have a few things that I don't really like about Virtua Fighter, and I kind of want to talk about them and talk about my wants and what I'm expecting, right? So we already know there's going to be new characters in the works. We'll start with like aesthetic stuff / gameplay stuff. We already know there's a new art direction. We already know there's new characters coming, right? I would also like to see new stages. That'd be really awesome if they had new stages with said new characters. And in those new characters, I hope we get fighting styles that have not been represented yet, right? So I hope we get another Quan user. We have Baji Quan and some other Quan that I believe Pai Chan uses, right? It'd be cool to see Taji Quan. We don't have an official kickboxer, right? I think we have like someone who uses Muay Thai, which is Brad. We don't have an official kickboxer. We don't have a boxer. We don't have Capoeira, which I'm going to be quite honest, I really don't want Capoeira. And we don't have Taekwondo, right? So we're missing some of the very basic martial arts styles that are very like modern that we don't have, right? We have Monkey Kung Fu, we have Drunken Fist, we have a lot of the things that were like very prominent in the old martial arts movies. We're missing some of the more modern things. And it'd be cool to see them added. It'd be really nice. I don't really expect or I'm not looking for any specifics in characters, right? As long as Jeffrey's in the game, I already have a black character to play. It'd be cool if maybe there's a Capoeira user and he's from Brazil, just like Eddie, or she's from Brazil, so we get another black character I can play. That'd be dope. Not really necessary. But that's kind of it on like the aesthetic front, right? Because I think Virtua Fighter 5, for the way it looked, it aged really well. It aged really well in a modern era of fighting games, right? It wasn't completely unpleasing to look at when they did the HD re-release. What I'm hoping for on gameplay front is I'm really hoping that we get rid of shakeable stuns. I don't know if like that makes me a zoomer, like if I'm just too young and I don't realize that it's skillful and not lame at all, but I don't want shakeable stuns. I would like that we would get rid of shakeable and matchable stuns in all fighting games. That'd be really cool. I don't like them. I'm fine with the 3-way guess system on breaking throws. I'm absolutely cool with that. I like the fact that throws just are completely beaten by strikes. So if you're -9 and you do a strike and they try to throw you to check you moving, they don't get it. Why don't you like shakeable stuns? Shakeable stuns are a gimmick / knowledge check that works at low level, and at the higher levels of play, it becomes this awkward thing where you need to hold the guard button and wiggle your stick. Because if you're not holding the guard button during it, you might accidentally hit a dash and now be minus. Now be completely punishable because sidesteps in this game are punishable. You can't like sidestep block safely. So they kind of ruin the more integral, neutral heavy flow of what has always felt like Virtua Fighter to me, right? Whenever I'm playing Virtua Fighter, I'm like, yeah, I'm playing fucking real fighting game neutral. This game is sick. And then I shakeable stun someone and hit them for 85%. And I'm like, you didn't fucking shake my stun, idiot? Get fucking bodied, loser, or vice versa. And I think it's really, really lame. Maybe add like some sort of a guest break system there where there's only 3 buttons, right? There's PKG, it's a punch kick throw, it's a punch kick guard game, right? I expect maybe an extra button, but we'll get to that later, where you have to guess between a punch or kick to get out of it, and that's like how you would do it. Guard breaks are going to be in the game more than likely. There's already guard breaks in Virtua Fighter 5. I don't expect them to go away in Virtua Fighter 6, which is okay. What I don't want is walk-off ring outs anymore. I don't want you to be able to sidestep on accident or sidestep and get knocked out of the ring, backstep, walk yourself out of the ring, do a lunging attack and throw yourself out of the ring, and be able to ring people out on block. I would like for that to be removed. That would be great. In a real fight, yeah, sure, like it makes sense. But you also have this thing called balance as a human being. So you could probably like balance, right? Maybe there's a certain threshold where if you're at the ring edge, you like kind of wobble and then come back in. And during that wobble, your opponent can hit you. And if they successfully hit you, you are knocked out of the ring, right? But if they don't successfully hit you, if you guard their low, if you guard their mid, whatever it may be, you are not rung out. Because ring outs on block are crazy. I think that was like the one thing that I was just like, this is kind of corny, man. I would do like a big button into like a jab string with characters like Jeffrey or characters like Kage, and people would get wrung out because you need to specifically sidestep to the right direction if you're stuck in like a corner situation to not get wrung out, and then you're in a guess for game situation anyway, right? Shakeable stuns, ring outs on block, and on like moving ring outs, I would like those removed. That's really it. I think everything else in the main Virtua Fighter package is great. I love the sidestep system. I love 3-3 and 1-1 backdashes and forward dashes, 3-3G, 1-1G. It's funny if you're Wolf and you whiff shoulder charge. Yeah, you like fly out of the ring as Wolf, right? Yeah. There's also people that have drop kicks. And if you do a drop kick and your opponent sidesteps, you can like ring yourself out, which is really funny, but also kind of corny, right? So these things could definitely be removed from the game, and I don't think they would be a big hindrance to like top level play and even like player expression at like lower levels. Another thing I'd really like is for there to be more held offense. That's kind of a normal fighting game thing now. Of course, we're probably going to see it. I don't even think I have to mention it, right? More held offense, less spots to potentially be able to sidestep your way out of, backstep your way out of. Not really something we need to mention. I don't know why my camera wasn't centered and no one told me. My camera wasn't centered like that whole time. Let me move this down. There we go. That's kind of it on like the gameplay front, except for new things that I'm expecting and kind of getting ready for. I don't think it needs to be removed per se. Just have more stages with lipped edges, so it's not a walk off, but not get hard launched over. I don't want you to be able to get walk off rung out. So yeah, if you do like a running attack, there should be a lip. If you're doing a block string, your opponent is like teetering on the edge and now has to guess, right? Instead of it just being a straight up walkout. Yes, they are basically removed in a sense, right? Walkout ring outs are removed, which I think is fine. I kind of expect there to be a fourth button, right? It's going to be a modern fighting game. I expect there to be some sort of new meter system or new special move system involved, so I expect some sort of a rage button or comeback button, whatever the fuck they're gonna call it. If they don't, that'd be awesome. But if we do that, please don't add a rage art to the game, right? I think adding just generic rage, where when you're low life you get a damage boost, totally okay. Maybe some sort of like an armor move that you get now, using that specific button where it's an armor move, but it's not a big giant cutscene. Yeah, PKGS, right? Maybe. I don't inherently want it, I'm going to be honest with you, but I almost expect that it's going to happen. It is a modern fighting game. We're not going to get some sort of a meter system or comeback mechanic. And if we don't, more power to us. Thank God, more neutral to be played. I do expect also some sort of maybe a parry inside of that super button, right? Because there's not a lot of characters with generic parries in VF. VF parries are very rare. Not every character has one. They're very specific. They beat punches or kicks, or punches and kicks, but no knees, no elbows, right? And I think that makes for a more enjoyable game experience generally. But I think if there was a metered parry that just like beat everything, but it was metered, and if you whiffed it, you could get launched or killed, totally okay with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. Doesn't seem super overbearing because it's generally not something that's gonna be a factor in all points of the match, right? It only happens when you have rage or when you have like the comeback mechanic, whatever it may be. Because they say here that there's going to be new mechanics, and that scares me. So because there's going to be new mechanics, I expect there to be some sort of a ring out. I mean, some sort of like a comeback mechanic. I can't think of anything else I want, right? I think Virtua Fighter overall is a very well put together series. I want it to be like you can only do it when you're about to die as like a finisher instead of like a comeback mechanic. When they're about to die, no, then it's not a comeback mechanic. They're definitely going to do some sort of a comeback mechanic. All fighting games now have comeback mechanics. I wouldn't want a super that you can do as a finisher, because then it's basically just a fatality, right? Or an ultra combo. We don't expect or need that. That's not what new players need, right? Because they even said here, the title will focus on scaling with the player and their playstyles when playing online. So more than likely, they're going to try to cater to more new players to the franchise, and Virtua Fighter is fucking brutal. Like, there's no comeback mechanic in Virtua Fighter. The only comeback mechanic you have is a nice sidestep into a fucking ring out or just giant damage. Because the game is a very high damage game, right? And that's kind of what I expect. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. I'm fine with high damage games. I'm not mad about them. But I expect there to be some sort of a comeback mechanic system. When it comes to the current characters, if it's a direct sequel, while also being a reboot, we can age them up a little bit. I don't know how much, because there are some characters who are literally already old. But it'd be cool to see them aged up a little bit. Maybe have some modern, fresh designs. That'd be neat. Virtua Fighter's awesome. I am excited and hoping that this rumor is true and that we'll see new things. I'm saying I don't want a comeback mechanic. I'm not saying we need a comeback mechanic or super. Just if they do something goofy like that, I'd rather it be a cosmetic system instead. No, it's gonna be a comeback mechanic. So look, what I'm doing is I'm being realistic. I'm not living in La La Land. We're probably gonna get a comeback mechanic. So I want to talk about what it should be if we're gonna get a comeback mechanic. Okay, don't give us fucking rage arts. Don't give us like a meter system and like some unblockable, unbreakable, or irreversible super. Okay, just give us maybe a damage boost, maybe some sort of a parry that you can use, some sort of defensive tool with the super button, and like an armor move, right? Just very simple shit. You get the armor move once per round, maybe twice per round. You get a parry once per round, right? Cool. Don't go all out when it comes to comeback mechanics. That's all I'm asking, because I expect there to be comeback mechanics. If we're gonna get them, let's be realistic. We're probably gonna get them. Let's ask for something reasonable. That's what I want. I want something reasonable, please. Anyways, I didn't really plan on talking about this, but I love 3D fighters, if you guys didn't know. Big fan of Soul Calibur, big fan of Dead or Alive, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, even, right? Bloody Roar, one of my favorite fighting games of all time. One of my favorite fighting game franchises of all time. Also a 3D fighter. So, this is something that I'm looking forward to with, like, very cautious eyes. I'm like, is this real? And if it is, these are some of the things that I hope we get. Nothing too crazy, hopefully. But Sega, take my money. If you're bringing it out, take my money. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish talking about a potential Virtua Fighter reboot and a new entry to the franchise with crossplay and rollback and new features and characters. Tell me what you think about that down below in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers soon. That'd be really fucking sick. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching the video.